Hello world, Frida Reba Darcy and Patricia O'Connor here. A very casual Frida Reba Darcy, I must say. And we are living life. It is just everything that it's everything that we were hoping for when we decided to be California bound. Green, lush trees and really pleasant temperatures. Everything is going kind of back closer to the rail. I got all of my starters back here under the lights because they don't need the real sun. And right now the sun is being provided. Less rain, less wind means that I'm trying to move everybody out here closer to get some of the real thing. And they've been doing that for a day or so. It's a little project I started this weekend. And looking at the weather forecast, I think I should be okay like this for a minute. Yeah, that's kind of what we have going on there. Also, we have been noticing that we are a little bit early to go cutting candles. That normally happens here on the pine trees. That normally happens around June or the end of June with really small trees, with really small pines. In other words, when you want really small needles, you do that towards the end of our needle cutting season, because that will offer you the least amount of time possible to grow the new ones. But there are always those little buds that jump out ahead of everybody. And if we just let those guys hang out and do nothing, they'll be way dominant when it comes time to cut the rest of them. So that kind of makes it a good idea to go through. And this is a little bud cutting. This isn't a lot of bud cutting. We're just going to come through here and take off a couple of these guys that are getting a jump on everybody else. And turn that around and probably do that one more time. Now, it'll produce a second flush of those. And they may even look a little bigger. That second flush may look a little bigger than the weaker buds that we're going to hold off on until it's the right time of year to do this. But from what they tell me, that will even itself out. That will even itself out by fall, and the smaller buds will have caught up, and we will have held back the larger buds just long enough to give them the shot to do that. And what that is supposedly going to do is it's going to make everything closer in energy. You be cool. We're not doing anything with you this year. You just be cool. We're going to let everything run on you for a little while longer, and we're going to let the fertilizer continue with this guy too. Now this one, 17 year for seed, I just went and knocked off about 4 or 5 buds on the front, turned it around, knocked off about 4 or 5 buds on the back. That's about all we're going to do with that. And I do still have fertilizer here, but I am not putting any new fertilizer down on that guy. That is not multiflush pine. That's a ponderosa. It too is not a multiflush pine, so all bets are off on that one. This guy, we're okay. You just be cool. You're okay. You're doing just what you need to do. Also, you see me cutting these. I could also just as easily be doing that with tweezers. It would be just about as easy or just about as hard to put the tweezers down in there and just kind of give it one of those, and that would just flip right up. Also, sometimes when people try to do cuttings on pines, these might be your guys. I got really excited when I was watching the Japanese videos, and those guys were talking about the pines that they have a high success rate with. And come to find out, it's a highly prized little variety of white pine. That's one, and a higher than normal success rate for them means still less than 1%. So, yeah, kind of forget it. You can hang out. You can hang out. There and there. This isn't going to be a long show. And there. Oh, no, not there. You missed it. Okay. And there are plenty of buds in there that we're not cutting. These are just the ones that had all the energy going to begin with. We're going to let that one be a candle. We're going to let this guy be our sacrifice. It can hang out. It can hang out with us for a little while. Okay. That guy. We're okay on that one. A lot of these little mames don't need to be cut on a lot, and some people don't do a lot of bud reduction on trees that they've transplanted or repotted, and this doesn't count as that. This is just a small little bit of bud reduction right now in the early going for these guys that have jumped out ahead of everybody, so that by the time they do their little second flush, and they'll do that earlier, but the flushes that are coming along behind it at more of a normal pace, they'll be more even with those. It's kind of a little thing we're going to do to even out the energy. Now, that is, and the reason we do the bud selection and the fertilizer and all that stuff the way we do it on Japanese black pines is so that we can get, the main reason is so that we can dictate the size of needles that we want. On tiny little pine trees, we're going to want tiny little needles, and we can best do that by utilizing a method that we're going to go with the second flush of needles after they've already made one flush. We cut the candles on that, and then we force them to make a second flush, and that second flush doesn't have as much energy because 30 days before we do that, we will have already knocked off our fertilizer. So there's not an abundance of stuff laying around in there for it just to make god-awful long second flush needles. It's going, well, if I've got to make these needles all over again, they're not going to be as long as they were last time. I hope you're happy. And that's what we want. So then we are happy. Not so with these guys. With these guys, we do just the opposite. We don't cut anything. We don't cut the needles. We don't cut. The only thing we remove on this ponderosa is the stuff on the bottom and a few, but not many, of the third year needles. We can clean it up a little, just very little. We want to feed it more. In fact, I need to put fertilizer on this one and this one. And the idea is we feed it, we give it as much water as it needs, we give it all the fertilizer it would love, and it will respond, and the way it will respond then is with more back buds and longer needles, and that's at first. That doesn't sound like what we're looking for in the long run, and it isn't. But 1 year of that, 2 years of that, and with all of that back budding and with those new needles, there'll come a point where it can no longer, with the amount of roots that fit in this pot, maintain the amount of needles that it's been putting out at the length that it's been putting them out. And at that point, it starts to put out shorter needles on its own, and then it's got us right where we want it. And that's kind of how that works. And that's just another little shot of our other little ponderosa, Haas Pondo, and Haas and Babe. So yeah, okay, that's how we're gonna treat the single flush guys. The multi-flush pines, we did go through and do a little bud reduction. Last night I was on the video, I was talking about doing a hook in here and wiring up that candle. I decided to nip it back instead, not even mess with that. And I like it that way. I've also decided that that is the front. What a cool little shape, huh? I'm really happy with that little tree. Like sometimes you do something and you go back and look at it and you go, wow, I'm actually happier with that than when I did it. It's just like it's responding well or something. It's going to be hard to get that wire off, but we're going to let that wire hang and do that. And this is the one we repotted last night. It seems to be doing, I mean, it hasn't shown any signs of any hard feelings about its treatment. We cut everything back in the way of a candle on that guy. We should probably do the same. Knock back some of these guys here on this one. Spare that needle, Pat. Don't be lazy. Spare that needle. Okay, that's got us. That's all we're gonna do. Just another quick visit on our pines, and we've done a little bud selection, a little bud pruning. It's a little ahead of the game for that, but these guys, like I said, these were all the ones that were all getting an early jump, and by cutting them now, that'll help them. That'll help the smaller ones to catch up to them later, and that'll probably and we should expect to see that later in the fall and stuff. That should all of that stuff should be a little bit more even. Thank you so much for watching. God, what a beautiful day this has been. It's just it's like 65 or something, and the breeze is down and the birds are all just having a big time, and it smells like flowers and pollen, and it's kind of that's both the good and the bad there, but we're feeling a lot better about it right now. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.